Good afternoon. My name is Julie McDonald. I'm a councilwoman here in the town of Niskayuna, and I'd like to welcome everyone to Niskayuna Town Hall today. I am so happy today to have the chance to speak about my colleague and my friend, Town Supervisor Joe Landry, as he announces his candidacy for the New York State Assembly. To me, Joe represents all that public service really should be. He is not a politician you see on television or in the newspaper every day, but rather a public servant that leads by example. Someone who you see out raking the ball fields with the clubs, helping to install a school playground, or picking up trash and moving tables at Town Hall for a 5K race. The blue Ford seems to be in the parking lot almost every time I drive by Town Hall, which is probably 8 or 9 times a day and night. Joe has been volunteering in our community and schools for many, many years, long before he was town supervisor. One of the hallmarks of a leader, I believe, is how they handle a crisis. During the 2 weather events that we had at Niskayuna in the past 4 years, there was no one I would have rather had at the helm than Joe Landry. During the ice storm in 2007, he was on duty around the clock, working with power companies, the police, the highway department, and the state and federal governments to deal with the damages and power outages all over town. Between those meetings, he was running around town with his neighbor delivering and hooking up spare generators for residents. That's the kind of guy he is. During Hurricane Irene last summer, Joe was all over the town making split-second decisions to protect the safety of our residents and our infrastructure. Bridges, dams, water plants. I really don't think he slept for about 3 days straight. I remember driving home from the river the day that Lock 7 was in jeopardy. It was this beautiful sunny day, and people were out walking their dogs and riding their bikes, and I was thinking most Niskayuna residents have no idea of all that is going on right now. But because I knew Joe was in charge and awake, I was able to go home that night and sleep. Despite all of his hard work for our residents, I have always admired the fact that Joe manages to really be there for his family. He goes to almost all of his son's baseball games, then of course right back to Town Hall, and he is so proud of his 2 daughters and their accomplishments. He also travels to Plattsburgh frequently to help his mom. I respect that commitment to family a great deal. Joe is someone who understands and values hard work and working people. His dad was a high school teacher, and it is clear that education and hard work are core values reflected in the work he does every day. I have very mixed feelings about losing him in Niskayuna, but I know that we would all really benefit from having a leader with such intelligence and integrity serving in our state assembly. I now have the privilege of welcoming another very hardworking leader to our town hall, the chair of the Schenectady County Legislature, Judy D'Agostino. Chair D'Agostino has served on the Schenectady County Legislature since 2001 and has been in leadership roles for many years. She was elected chair of the legislature in 2011 and has been instrumental in the economic development efforts in our county, like ShopRite right up the street here in Niskayuna, as well as the expansion of our central library in Schenectady, which is set to open this summer. She has been a champion for seniors in supporting quality care through the construction of the new Glendale nursing home, and I am very proud to be part of her team. Judy?
Very much, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here today and be able to say a few words on behalf of Joe Landry's candidacy for the U.S. State Assembly. I first would like to thank his many friends and colleagues for sharing this special moment with Joe today. It means a great deal to me. I'm going to address my interaction with Joe not only as a legislator but as the chair of the county legislature. Joe has been an integral part of the chief executive team at the Schenectady County Legislature. He has worked with us to bring about the unprecedented growth, economic development, and creations of jobs which Schenectady County has experienced over the past 8 years. He's been an advocate, a tireless advocate, for protecting vital services while keeping taxes low and within a new 2% tax cap. Joe Landry understands that government must be more efficient and do more to meet real needs with less resources. Joe knows the challenges taxpayers face because he is one. And as a father of children who will move into the job market someday, he recognizes the importance of all levels of government working together to grow our economy and keep our taxes low. Joe Landry is a well-seasoned team player who, when he becomes the assemblyman for the 110th Assembly District, will be ready to begin to work for all of its constituents. We need someone with the qualifications and experience to get the job done in all honesty. Someone with passion and dedication to serve people. And that person is Joe Landry. Joe? And all your colleagues, I promise you our full support as you pursue your goals. And this I must say, we all look forward to your service in this sector. Now I have the pleasure of introducing the mayor of our fine city, Schenectady, the Honorable Gary.
Thank you, Judy. Judy really is a great leader. In the progress that has happened in this community, and I use that community in the terms of an umbrella that is really Schenectady County and the city and the towns that make it up, has not happened by accident. It's happened by individuals and people working together. It's been the trademark of the Democratic Party that we have made things happen here, and we shouldn't walk away from that clear and distinct record of accomplishment that we have built. And it's not any one individual. But as we look to continue to expand and build upon that, there is nobody that I can think of that is better suited, because of his experience in local government, county government, and state government, to be a representative in the New York State Assembly. That Joe has a record here in the town that is one that he's proud of, that the residents of Niskayuna are proud of, and that we want to bring that to the entire community, to the entire region, bring his knowledge to the State Assembly. And with that, I want to thank everybody for being out here today, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you a great leader, my friend, and the next member of the New York State Assembly, Joe Landry.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for being here in the beautiful dry Niskayuna. It was a little iffy here whether it was going to be dry. And I also would like to thank my special thanks to Councilwoman McDonald and also County Legislator Judy D'Agostino and Mayor McCarthy for taking the time to be here. These are the leaders of our communities here in Schenectady County who work day in and day out to keep our government working for the people. And I want to thank them for being here. As many of you know, the newly redrawn 110th Assembly District now includes 2/3 of the city of Schenectady and the towns of Niskayuna and Colony. And I'm here today to announce that I'm running for that Assembly District. The assemblyman from this district is going to represent a diverse suburban and urban community. I believe that the residents of this new district are going to want an assemblyman who will work to increase economic opportunities and jobs for themselves and their children. I believe that the residents of this new district will want an assemblyman who will ensure a quality public education for their children. I believe the residents of this new district will want an assemblyman who will work to get them their fair share of state aid. I believe that the residents of this district will want an assemblyman who will work for fairness. Fairness for their children, fairness for their workers, and fairness for the elderly. Now, more than ever, we need strong democratic representation in the Assembly. As Niskayuna Town Supervisor, I am watching our state representatives impose more and more burdens on local governments and school districts, and at the same time decreasing state funding to these public entities and also limiting their ability to raise funds for these new mandates. This is a lose-lose for the residents who live in these municipalities and for the children who attend public schools. Local governments and school districts are being told, not asked, that they must do more, and by the way, do it with existing funds because there will be no additional funding from any source. This scenario cannot continue for long. This is not fair for local governments and school districts. This is not fair to public employees. But most of all, this is not fair to you, the residents who expect more from government and our governmental leaders. It's time to draw that line in the sand and say this far and no further. As we look at public education, we cannot help but ask what has happened. Today, the state spends $1.1 billion less on state school aid than it did in 2008, just 4 short years ago. What has this done to our public education? Thousands of teachers and teachers' aides are being laid off in schools across the state. In fact, just right up the hill, right up there, about 80 people will be laid off at the end of the school year in less than a month. As Councilwoman McDonald said, my father was a high school public school teacher, a math teacher for over 30 years. He impressed upon me the importance of a good education. I know my father would not stand for these cuts in education. We should not stand for these cuts. They are short. They are short-sighted and only bring us further from our goal of equal educational opportunities for all. Another area that demonstrates huge funding inequities among municipalities is the aid to cities in the state budget. For example, the city of Schenectady, it ranks 5th in population among upstate cities, but 17th in per capita state aid and incentives to municipalities. For example, Schenectady is only receiving $11 million in direct state aid, while Utica, a city which is a few thousand smaller in population, is receiving $16 million in state aid. The real question to ask is, why is Utica getting $5 million more dollars? Why should we continue to let these inequities continue? This distribution of aid is not fair for the residents of Schenectady County, and it should be changed. Do we want the city of Schenectady to continue to get less in state aid in Utica? Or do we want an assemblyman who will fight for our fair share? Do we want to starve our school districts and continue to lay off teachers? Or do we want an assemblyman who will fight for public education? Do we want to continue to support policies that of an equitable distribution of the state's financial resources? Or do we want an assemblyman who will fight for equality? Today, as I stand here and announce my candidacy for the New York State Assembly, I say to you that I would like to be that assemblyman in the 110th Assembly District who will fight for our fair share, who wants to invest in public education to compete in a 21st century economy, and who will fight to create jobs and economic opportunities. But most of all, I'm going to be asking for everybody's support here as we begin our long campaign to the Capitol. Thank you very much.